told you I was going to be back. I'm just going to jump right into it because there's a lot to get to, but I'm also going to try my hardest not to make this video very long, because if it's very long, that means I'm going to have to edit a whole bunch, and I'm a full-time yapper. So the episode starts off with Kane presenting an adventure about them trusting one another. The other person has to take the bullets out the gun, hand it to the other person. The other person shoots themselves in hopes that the other person took them out, so that, like trust exercise type of thing. That didn't go down. It would have been interesting to see down. Artists, you know what to do. But instead of that, it just turned into this battle royale where everybody is split up into teams and they're all fighting to the death. They don't really die. They go to a different place later. But it's really funny to me how quickly Kane just gave up. There was no pushback. He was just like, I don't care anymore. Yeah, here's a bunch of guns. Kill each other. Whatever. And as we get to the part where they're choosing teams, first of all, we already knew what the teams were going to be, but I was surprised that Pomni went to Ragatha to ask, hey, you want to be on teams? Not that I don't think they wouldn't be good together. I was just surprised that Pomni went to go ask her first instead of Ragatha asking Pomni. I'm also surprised that she turned Pomni down. But she gave her reasons, which I understand. And as we all know, she ends up with Kinger, Pomni ends up with Jax. And then we get a scene that threw me, because after all the teams go off in their own separate directions to go and find the gun, we see Kane, floating in the air with his little coconut shake, pull out some Polaroids. And it's a picture of a desk and a computer with the label on the wall saying C and A. And he's like staring at it, and he doesn't say anything. He just stares. Like, what? Because, like, why does Kane have those photos? And I really, really, really want to see the other two photos that are behind him, because we only see one. But there, I can clearly see, as you see right now, that there are two behind the photo. So I really want to know what's behind it, but we only get this first picture. Okay, unless I'm not really seeing it clearly, I don't see a headset on the table. I see a phone, the obvious computer, a photocopier, I think, on the right side, pencils, keyboard, all that stuff. I don't want to spend too much time theorizing what's going on these photos, because I feel like this will take too long, so that would be a whole another different video. But I really want to know who's taking these pictures and why is Kane looking at them. Also, this office looks really similar to the office Pomni was in episode 1, opening the exit doors. I'm just saying. And then after that scene, we go back to Ragatha and Kinger, and Ragatha is upset that, damn, she's still missing a life. So Kinger, out of nowhere, gives her a life. He opens up his hands, and it's a butterfly. She touches it, and she gets a life. Like, excuse me? Like, that literally just happened out of nowhere. And then they literally they go to the next scene. Like, we didn't just see that scene. Like, no, we need to talk about it more. Hello? I just have this strong feeling that Kinger helped work on the circus. Pomni and Jax are having this conversation as they're practicing shooting cans about how this is just a game. And Jax is asking Pomni, why do you care about hurting your friends and stuff? And she just looking, I like this part because she's looking at him like he's crazy. Why wouldn't I care about hurting my friends? And Jax, being Jax, is making the argument like, none of this is real, right? We're not in the real world. We can't really get hurt, It's not real. And this really shows how far he is into it. Like, he's just accepted that he's like a cartoon animated character and he's no longer human, as much as he tries to believe he's not human anymore. And I really like this part where Pomni says, but we're still people, right? And Jax says, I thought we were at first, but as time goes on, we just fall into our archetypes. Then Pomni says, "Oh, what's your archetype? The villain?" And for a second, right here, you can clearly see that Jax is kind of miffed by it a little bit. Like, oh wait, hold on. Then we get the scene with Ragatha and Jax has Ragatha cornered, and she, at the last second before she gets shot, I know what you're doing with Pomni, and it will never work. And the music stops, and even Jax is looking at her like, what? And Ragatha basically says, you're corrupting her, being her friend, you're gonna corrupt her. You can clearly see that he's bothered by the statement that Ragatha said to him. And in an eerie scene where Pomni finds Jax, he quickly wipes all the dirt off his face and goes back to that, fake ass smile and everything, like nothing's wrong. Then we're going into one of my favorite scenes with Gangle and Zubul, and they're talking, and Zubul is finding like a gun for Gangle, and Gangle is like sitting down worried about Jax, because in the beginning of the episode Jax wanted to be teammates with her, but she obviously did not want to, and who could blame her? She decides she wants to go with Zubul, and she is sitting there worried about what Jax will do after the game, and it really makes me sad. Like, she's afraid of Jax, honestly, and that really makes me upset. And I really like Zubul here because they come in clutch, being like, hey, you deserve not to think about him when he's not even here. Then the part happens where it almost made me cry, because Gangle asks, how are you supposed to like a part of yourself that makes you worse than everybody else? Zubul basically says to Gangle, you have to choose to love yourself even if it doesn't make sense. And I'm telling you guys, it almost made me cry. That was a very, very sweet scene. It's a really sweet scene. It really shows how much they care about each other. You can see them growing closer and closer, and I really think that's really sweet. Then we get to the part where I'm disappointed at, because in my previous video I hyped Kinger up. I said he was gonna solo everyone. No, he didn't. And I'm really disappointed. It's not fair. He would have won. I'm still on that belief that he could have won under different circumstances. And unfortunately, Kinger gets shot by his own gun. But fortunately, we get to go into the next scene with Kinger and Ragatha as they're in the loser corner. So Kinger finally gets to have a heart-to-heart with Ragatha, and she really, really, really needed it. This poor woman thinks that she failed Pomni and Jax, and seeing her cry makes my heart hurt. Like, I just want to reach into the screen and hug her. And then Kinger, being the king he is, basically tells Ragatha that she needs to stop putting so much pressure on herself for being there for everybody. You have to take care of yourself in all of this too. And relationships are two-sided, and it doesn't make sense for one side to do the heavy lifting if the other one doesn't feel like it. Also, going into the next scene, Gangle looks like she's having so much fun, shooting at Pomni and Jax, and unfortunately she doesn't get any hits on them, but she does end up breaking the tube thing, and I think that's really funny, because we get this screenshot of Jax getting absolutely folded when he falls to the floor, and it's like, good. Let him be humbled. So unfortunately, Gangle dies because Pomni ends up shooting her, but she dies with a smile because her comedy mask breaks, but her sad mask, she is still smiling. So she was really having a fun time. At least she was having fun. She was genuinely having a fun time, and I'm really glad that she did. And unfortunately, that just leaves Zubul, Pomni, and Jax. So Zubul just books it to their room to get more extra parts while Pomni and Jax are waiting outside. And then Pomni and Jax just start randomly singing Daisy Bell. Well, not really randomly. They're doing it for a reason to annoy Zubul, because Zubul said earlier that Kane would sing Daisy Bell to get them out of their room. So that's what they're doing. But generally, they look like they're having so much fun. It's honestly really cute. Then the funniest thing happens in this entire episode that had me geeked out. Zubul gets assembled with like more extra parts, And Jax opens the door because he finally remembers, oh, right, I have a key. La da da da. He opens the door and Zubul throws out a stun grenade and flashbangs them. I'm sorry, I just love seeing Jax off his game. It brings me joy. So as Pomni and Jax come back to life, Pomni rushes up and tells Jax, trust me, I got this, and runs after Zubul. He says, wait. And it's like, the expression on his face, it's like, was he worried that Pomni might get shot by Zubul? Because, you know, Zubul has all them guns. It looks like he does care about people. And then we see him look at Kaufmo's, I hope I'm saying that right, room. And he quickly turns away like he's annoyed. And then he looks at Ribbit. And it's like we turn back to his face. And it's like he's dissociating a little bit. Like he's kind of floored. And I was wondering if Ribbit was going to come up in this episode. I mean, he has not been like given any lines. But like his door is like present. And Jax is looking at it. And he just looks kind of blank for a minute before he shakes himself out of it and goes to find Pomni. Then we get towards the end of the episode, and let's make this quick before we get to the real, you know, meat. Okay, first of all, Zubul could have won this fight, and what they said about how when Pomni shoot the gun and it went like ricocheting off of every other surface and it hit all of their guns off of them, yeah, that was total BS, and I'm with them because they definitely would have won. And then we get to the scene that had my stomach literally tossing and turning for the past few days because I keep thinking about it and crying a little bit. Okay, yeah, so they win. Pomni is excited, and she gets so excited that she hugs Jax. And for a split second, you can see on his face, he's like kind of happy about it. And then it quickly changes. He pushes her off of him. And Pomni's just like, whoa, wow. And he's even like, whoa. Like, wow, he wasn't expecting her to hug him. And he wasn't expecting him to, I guess, like it or be okay with it. Be like, wait, hold on. How do we even get here? Type of thing. And then he goes back to that whole, you know, regular smile thing once he realizes that, oh wait, I'm showed some type of emotion. And when Pomni turns around to be like, I guess this is a part where we both betray one another, he's staring at the hand that he pushed her with. Bro, I can't deal with this. And then he's like, oh yeah, you could betray me. And he throws the gun on the floor, and then Pomni's like, oh, wait, I thought this was a mutual thing. And he's like, nah, go ahead, shoot me. And Pomni's like, I don't really want to, and I don't blame her. He completely took the fun out of this whole thing. Like, if he would have just been, okay, yeah, let's betray one another. And if he, like, shot her, maybe she probably would have taken that in stride. I don't know. But he just took the entire fun of it. It was like, okay, yeah, go ahead, shoot me, and throws his gun on the floor. Like, really, bro? He literally says to her, hey, yeah, we were never friends. And I really feel for Pomni in this scene. Like, she's asking him, like, did I do something wrong? Because the mood just shift. And I like this scene because Pomni, being the goat that she is, she calls him out on his BS, saying, don't say the things that we did today didn't mean anything to you, because I know that's not true. And then he's like, are you coming on to me? And I also noticed that Pomni's eye twitches because same girl, like, what are you talking about, Jax? You're the only one that brought that up. Look at you trying to deflect. As they go back and forth, she finally says something that breaks him. Did you ever think that this is the reason why people abstract in the first place? And he turns around and he's angry. Like, are you really gonna blame me for something that everyone else did too? He's about to go in on her, but then he stops himself. Goes back to that same dead expression. Then Pomni asks him straight up, what would you do if I would abstract tomorrow? And then he turns around, has a dead look in his face, says it just like this. I'd move on. I probably forget about you, and tilts his head, really trying to play it up. Like, yeah, like, I don't care about you. And poor Pomni, look at her face. It hurts me. Like, having basically being said, if you were gone tomorrow, I would forget about you and I move on. Like, who wants to hear that shit? And she turns around and she holds up the gun, and for a split second, I really thought that she was going to shoot herself. I'm really glad that she didn't. And then we see Jax kind of like, you really can't take a joke. She's had enough with that. So you know what she does? She throws the gun at him and then starts throwing other objects at him and, chokes him out, and it's hilarious.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
He asks the question, why didn't you fight back? So Jack answers Pomni like, so because I didn't fight back, that means I secretly care about you. It's not a secret. Like, everyone with eyes can see that you like being friends with her. And then he goes into the tirade, you guys are my playthings. I get joy off of making you suffer. All that type. And to say to Pomni, if I led you on, it's just to make this part hurt even more. And then he turns around and we see, his expression breaks and he curses. And that face that he makes after the first curse word, it's like, darn it. Like, I showed even more emotion, and then he's mad about himself. And then he curses again and kicks something. Like, he's mad that he allowed himself to get close to Pomni when he's, not supposed to show any big emotions. He's mad at himself for it. And then he says, there's nothing more to me. So just stop looking. And the expression on his face, it's so tired. He's so tired. And poor Pomni, she just looks after him after he says that, and after he walks away, she looks so dejected. Like, I want to hug her. Then we go to the award show and we see Ragatha and Pomni bump into each other, and they're both like talking over each other. They want to like get the words out and talk about, I guess, what happened today. And then they eventually say, how about we just talk after the award show? And they both agree. And I thought that was very nice, very sweet. I can't wait to see more of them in episode 7 and in more episodes. Like, I'm really glad that they're coming together again. They sit together. I thought was very sweet. Of course, Jax sits alone because of course he does. And Pomni turns back around to see if Jax is sitting at his seat, and he sits like all alone. And as the award show is going on and Kane is announcing the winner, we see Jax, and he is not doing so great. He is actually having a panic attack, and he runs into the bathroom. And honestly, I'm like, wait, is he about to abstract? And he doesn't. Thank goodness. Even though he's an asshole, I still don't like to see people abstract, though I'm pretty sure that's where he's heading, because he's going down a road of self-destruction, honestly. I hopefully he might get himself together in episode 7 a little bit, but I'm not sure. I just want to say good job to Michael for the voice acting in the scene for the panic attack with Jax, because that sounded really realistic. And also like the animators too, like the expression on his face, bro. And like in the beginning scene too, where his leg is like tapping and shaking, perfect. That's the good stuff. Then he walks back into the auditorium like nothing's happened with a smile on his face, and Pomni sees, because she looks back for him because, she's a good person and she's still worried about it. But she turns back around and we see Ragatha looking at her like, hinting like, what's wrong? But Pomni shakes her head like, let's not get into it. I don't blame her. That was probably emotionally exhausting to go through with that type of person. Alright, so let's get into this scene. Long story short, Kane does not win, Ming does, the character from the beginning of the episode. Then the after credits roll. And by the way, that happy ass song after this behemoth of an episode, really, God, like that, it's like, oh look, a happy song. The contents of this episode towards the last ending was not happy at all. But anyway, after the after credit scene, Kane checks how many people voted for him, and no one did, and he glitches out. And then the episode ends. Guys, I'm worried for Kane. I said it earlier, I'm worried, but I'm really worried because if he starts glitching out, other things are going to start glitching out. So before I end this video, I need to talk about something that I saw a video talk about on TikTok, and I forgot the username, so I am not the one who first pointed this out. They pointed out that, like, when you look into Jax's eyes, you can see, like, some type of reflection, and it's not like the reflection of the person he's talking to. And then they go on to further say that it's a reflection of, like, I think one of the photos from the hall of doors that Pomni was like going into in episode 1. I'll show like the clip right here. It looks just like this, but also I noticed that Pomni had it in her eyes in other episodes. So it's like, okay, I don't think this is a coincidence, because it's like one of the pictures that was on the wall from episode 1 when Pomni was like, you know, trying to find the exit. So it's like, okay, what's the connection? But that's it, guys. There's gonna be more videos like this of the Amazing Digital Circus, honestly, and I might record my reaction to episode 7. That's it, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.